Okay, in this clip we are going to be looking to convert decimals to percentages and then also percentages to decimals. But before we start that, we need to get one thing clear, and that's what percentage actually means. And percentage means out of 100. Okay, that's what percentage means. So, for example, if we have 100 out of 100, okay, that is 100%. It's 100 out of, that's what this line means. It means to divide, or it means out of. Okay, 100 out of 100. Well, that's 100%. Okay, so if you got 100 marks on a test and there are 100 marks available, you got 100%. Okay, so if 100 over 100 is 100%, we can also write this as a whole number, though. It means that 100 over 100 is actually equal to 1, which is equal to 100%. Now, if we had 50%, now we've divided it by 2, we're going to divide everything by 2. So 50% as a decimal is 0.5. Okay, some of these are really easy, some of them you will know. Okay, but I just wanted to show you there the relationship that this has. Actually, we can write a percentage as a decimal, and we can write a decimal as a percentage. And that's the first thing we're going to look at. We're going to look at, if we're given a decimal, how can we convert it into a percentage? So, the first number we're going to look at is we're going to have 0.34. Okay, 0.34 is the decimal. Okay, now in order to find percentage, it's very simple. The only thing we're going to do is we're going to times it by 100 to make the percentage. Okay, so I want to know what that is as a percentage. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to times 0.34, and I'll do it underneath 0.34 times 100, because that's going to give me the answer here. And how to do that, I'm going to move this decimal point to the right, because I'm multiplying, by 2 spaces. 1, 2. Okay, so 1, 2. So it's now going to end up behind the 4. So the answer is 34. 0.34%. Sorry, 0.34 is 34%. Okay, let's have a look at another one. Let's have a look at 3.45. That's my next one. So 3.45 as a percentage. Well, underneath we're going to do 3.45 multiplied by 100, because we need to know what the percentage is. Move the decimal point 2 spaces. It's 345. So my answer is 345%. Okay. Now, one more, but slightly trickier. Okay, slightly different. This time we're going to have 0.012. Nothing has changed. We're still going to do exactly the same method. We're just going to times it by 100, turn it into a percentage. So 0.012 times 100 is going to give us an answer. Move the decimal point 2 spaces. It comes between the 1 and the 2. So it's going to be 1.2% as our answer. So our answer, 1.2%. And yes, we can have a point of a percent, much like we can get more than 100%. A common misconception, but we can have more than 100%. Okay. Right, so that's decimals to percentages. Pause the video, watch it back if you need to. Very straightforward. We don't need to do any more than that. Just multiplying by 100 to do that. Okay. Slightly trickier or slightly different kind of process that we're going to use for turning a percentage into a decimal. Okay. the first thing I want you to do, and if you've seen one of the other videos on fractions, decimals and percentages, okay, you will have seen this grid before. If you haven't, pause the video, even if you have, pause the video, and copy out this grid, because we are going to use that. Okay, that's going to come in handy to make things a little bit simpler for us. Fantastic. Right, okay, so let's start with our first example. Remembering that percentage, again, let's write this down. Percentage means out of 100. Really important, that. Okay, so this time, okay, we've been given a percentage. Let's say 67%. Okay, now remember it's out of 100, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write it as a fraction. Okay, 67%. It's going to be 67 out of 100. Okay, so that's the first thing I'm going to do. Then I'm going to put this in here, because by putting this fraction in our table over here, we're going to convert it into a decimal, as we did in the previous video. So if you've watched the previous video and you know how to do this next part, you can skip forward a little bit to the next question. So 67 out of 100, we take the 7 and put it in the hundredths column, because that's where it needs to go, because it's out of 100, so hundredths column is being used. The last digit goes in there. The 6 goes in the tenths column. Decimal point doesn't move. The 0, something has to go in the units column, and because we don't have another number to write in there, we fill it with a 0. So our final answer actually is 0.67. 67% as a decimal is 0.67. Next number, let's go 34%. Again, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in a fraction out of 100. It's 34 out of 100. Then I'm going to take my 4, I'm going to put it in the hundredths column. I'm going to put the 3 in the tenths column. Nothing to go here, so 0. So 0.34. Alright. Now, let's try 355%. Again, write it as a fraction out of 100. Yes, it's a bigger number. Yes, it's more than 100%. Okay, but we're still using this out of 100 every single time. So, write the number that you see, 355 out of 100. And then let's put it in our table. Make sure you're really careful when you do this. Make sure that you are putting it in the right columns, like I am doing over here. Okay, so the last digit goes in the hundredths column, which is the 5. The 5 goes in the tenths column, and the 3 goes in the units column. The decimal point doesn't move, so our final answer is just what we see over there, 3.55. Okay, we're going to do one more example. Okay, and that's this time when we have a point of a percentage. So we're going to do 0.1%. Okay, and again, the first step is it's out of 100, and I'm going to put 0.1 at the top. Now, immediately, we don't like this because there's a decimal point in our fraction. Okay, so we need to make this top number a whole number, and if we multiply it by 10, we will get 1 at the top. But we also have to multiply the bottom by 10 as well, so it's now out of 1,000. The top number is now 1 out of 1,000. So let's put that in our column, in our grid over here. So the last digit is a 1, it goes in the thousandths column. 1. There are no other numbers, so we've got to fill all of these other columns up to its left. 0 in the hundredths, 0 in the tenths, decimal point, and 0 in the units. And now my final answer is 0.001. And that is converting percentages to decimals using fractions to do it.